The streets of Newark hold 1,000 stories. Stories of laughter and loss, of dreams realized and dreams deferred. On a quiet street, a small memorial stands. It speaks of a life cut short, a tragedy that has shaken this city to its core. Stuffed animals peek out from beneath flickering candles. A child's picture smiles out, forever frozen at 9 years old. This is the memorial for Yasin Morrison. Yasin was a special child. He navigated the world with the innocence and wonder unique to children. But Yasin was also different. He was autistic, unable to speak his thoughts aloud. He communicated through smiles, through gentle touches, through the language of the heart. He found solace in the arms of his family, in the familiar rhythm of his days. He was loved. He was cherished. On a Friday evening, the unthinkable happened. Yasin was with his father, Savan, and his little sister. They were going to see his grandmother, Tisha Bolden, for the weekend. As they pulled up to her house on Osborne Terrace, gunfire erupted. The sound, a horrifying symphony of violence, echoed through the neighborhood. When the sound faded, Yasin lay on the ground, another victim of the senseless violence plaguing our streets. His father, grazed by a bullet himself, rushed to his son. His grandmother, hearing the shots from inside, ran out to a scene that would forever be seared into her memory. The image of her grandson lying lifeless on the ground was a pain she would carry forever. Yasin, the child who brought so much joy, was gone, taken not by illness, not by accident, but by the cruel and indifferent hand of violence. His life, so full of promise, extinguished in a hail of bullets.
He was my baby,
Yasin Morrison whispers, his voice thick with grief. He sits on the steps of his mother's house, the weight of his loss etched on his face. The image of that night, of Yasin lying still, replays in his mind, a constant torment. The guilt is a heavy shroud, threatening to suffocate him. He was supposed to protect his son.
He loved dinosaurs. He would spend hours lining them up, making them roar.
Inside, Tisha Bolden sits by the window, her eyes red-rimmed and swollen. She clutches a photograph of Yasin, his gap-toothed smile radiating pure joy. Memories, once a source of comfort, now feel like shards of glass piercing her heart. Yasin's 3-year-old sister doesn't understand. She asks for her brother, her innocent voice a painful reminder of the life that was taken too soon. How do you explain such a loss to a child who has barely begun to understand the world? The family grapples with their grief, their pain a tangible presence in the small house. They are not alone in their sorrow. The news of Yasin's death spread through Newark like wildfire. It left a trail of shock and grief in its wake. This wasn't just another statistic, another story in the newspaper. This was Yasin, a child, innocent, vulnerable. His death resonated deeply within the community, a stark reminder of the pervasive violence that continued to plague their streets. On a cold February evening, hundreds gathered on Osborne Terrace. They came to remember Yasin, to share their grief, to demand justice. Candles flickered, casting dancing shadows on the faces of mourners. Balloons, each one carrying a silent message of love and loss, were released into the night sky.
Friends, neighbors, and strangers came together to offer comfort and support to Yasin's family. They shared stories about Yasin, his infectious laugh, his love for his family, his gentle spirit.
The vigil, a tapestry of sorrow and solidarity, was a testament to the power of community, a beacon of hope in the face of tragedy. We will not let Yasin's death be in vain. This senseless violence must stop. We will find those responsible. We will bring them to justice. Mayor Ras J. Baraka declared, his voice echoing with righteous anger. He stood before the crowd, his face a mask of grief and determination. His words, a promise and a plea, hung in the air.
The Essex County Sheriff's Office announced a $10,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the person or persons responsible for Yasin's death. They urged anyone with information, no matter how small or insignificant it may seem, to come forward.
The community, united in grief and outrage, echoed the call for justice. They plastered the neighborhood with flyers, organized rallies, and demanded answers. They refused to let Yasin become just another statistic, another forgotten victim. They knew that silence was complicity. They would be Yasin's voice. They would fight for justice for Yasin. They would not let his light be extinguished.